Blog Talk Radio.
Let's not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Did that sound insane or what, John?
Yeah, a little bit. That was like a 30-second car crash gunfight.
Yeah, that was
a
a scene from the rhythm section, which stars Blake Lively. We're going to be talking about that a little bit on today's episode of Cinema Royale. I am Travis Thompson. That is John Nolan. We are the Punch Drunk Critics.
Hello.
And yeah, man, the rhythm section. This is a movie that I've been looking forward to. Now, it got delayed a little bit. Because Blake Lively got injured on set, so the movie got pushed back some, and it just came out this past week, this weekend actually. Did not do well at all, at all. $2.8 million at the box office, which I want to get into a little bit about that. Yeah, I know that's really bad for a major wide 3,000 theater release. That is super bad. We need to talk a little bit about that because this movie is special, and I don't know how many people realize that. Not only is it based on the book series, which I kind of want to read now, but it's also the first non-James Bond movie from Eon Productions. These are the estate that handles everything James Bond. They don't do anything else but James Bond. They do nothing else. And I think, considering how many years they've been in control of the Bond franchise, they've done it without having to like expand it into cartoons and building a cinematic universe. They've just stuck with a Bond movie every few years, and that's what they've done. And they don't need to do anything else. So this is a big deal that they've expanded into making this non-Bond movie, and it comes at a time when more people than ever are saying, "When are we going to get a female James Bond?" And so it's interesting to me that when they kind of give you a little bit of that with this movie, people don't show up for it. It's kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, but I think there's other factors at play. I mean, don't judge a book by its title, I guess, but it's a really horrible title. I mean, the title is real bad. I mean, yeah, people can watch trailers and this stuff, but if I had no idea this was an action movie, at all until I went to see it. Because I didn't read up much on it prior to going to see it. And rhythm section, Blake Lively, okay, it's about a down on her luck cellist in New York City or something, I bet. But no, it's not. And past that, the media for it, the push wasn't really out there. So they had a bad title, and then they didn't do enough to get out there and tell people that it's not what you might think it is.
Yeah, and the reviews for it have been sort of down the middle, not great. I can't remember what it is at Rotten Tomatoes right now, but even on our website, the review that Jake did was negative. He gave it 2 out of 5. If I had seen it, I would have given it much better than that. I would have given it at least a 3, possibly a 3.5. I really did enjoy the rhythm section, and I saw it as more than just a typical revenge movie. It was about a woman trying to not only overcome grief, but to become more than what she is. And I think that is, there's a scene in the movie where Jude Law's character, Jude Law plays her mentor, sort of, almost like the role he plays in Captain Marvel, only without superpowers.
Yeah. You noticed that
and
too,
he tells her, he tells her, "You're not special. You're a cliche." And it's true. At a certain point in the movie, she is just another cliche. She's not anything different than a million other female characters that we've seen in a Luc Besson movie. And her goal is she has to kind of become something more than that. And I think the movie is really about that. And I like those themes running throughout this film. I thought Blake Lively was great at portraying them. So I was really disappointed at seeing how middling the reaction to this bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing is for sure, it's a 33% right now on Rotten Tomatoes, but almost every review you look at, one of the main things they say is that Blake Lively really excels in it, and that a lot of people are interested in seeing her in another role like this, another action-based role.
She's become one of my favorite actresses, surprisingly. She really has. I've liked her almost everything she's done since she became a big star. She's like the girl version of Channing Tatum. Yeah.
Somebody that's so perfect and so, beautiful, and they seem like they should be, the cool kid in high school that you hate, but you can't help but to like them. And she really, I mean, what was the movie with where she was in like a throuple? It was her and two dudes that were, I'm totally blanking. Savages, yeah. And I started once I saw her in that in The Town. I really started to realize, hey, she's got something, and I like seeing her on screen playing these different roles.
She's really been on sort of a roll ever since The Age of Adeline was a big hit, driven largely by her. The Shallows, of course, was a big hit that summer, and A Simple Favor of Paul Feig was a great movie a couple years ago, alongside Anna Kendrick. And then this, I think she's really on a roll, and I thought, apparently stupidly, that she would be able to drive this movie into being a big hit as well. But I think you're right, though. That title is something to really tough to overcome. It is the lousiest title they could have stuck with, and I don't understand why they did it. In later versions of the trailer, they had Jude Law's character explaining what the rhythm section means. Like, because I think people were like, "What?"
Right.
But that's not enough.
I mean,
they should have just changed the title. They should have changed the title. Just change it.
When you need to release a trailer to explain your title, it's time to change the title. I mean, it's simple as that. And it really is unfortunate because, like you mentioned, it's not just a regular revenge movie. That would be a movie like Peppermint, which I'm sure nobody remembers, but that what Jennifer Garner was in. And this is it's got more to it than something like that. Yeah, but that would be like your standard female-led Death Wish type deal, where this has got more substance to it.
This is going to do worse than Peppermint.
What's that?
This is going to end up doing worse. Peppermint wasn't good at all.
Oh, yeah.
Not really.
I mean, it just shows you that, they say the age of the movie star is dead, and that's not totally true, but it's like the age of anybody but the top 1% of movie stars. Like, there's still a 1% of movie stars that can pull audiences in. Your Kevin Harts or your Dwayne Johnsons or Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson, whatever buddy cop movie they're doing. But as far as having a bunch of people, like all of your A-list, some of your B-list, being able to bring in audience members, those days are gone. I mean, so somebody like Blake Lively is very popular. Everybody loves her and Ryan Reynolds together and all that stuff, but it's still not enough to get people in. You got to go with more than that. And it sucks that she's going to have to bear the brunt of the fallout from this movie.
I think she will be okay. Like, I think she will be okay. I don't put all of this on her. In fact, I don't really put any of it on her. I put this on marketing more than anything else. This is like you see, about the title being just being too confusing for audiences. People think I'm crazy when I say that audiences will be confused by things that studios do in terms of their strategies. I'm not basing that. That's not coming out of nowhere. I know just based on questions I get from people about questions. Like when I talk about how people still ask me questions about the two Quicksilvers, one in the MCU and one in the Fox universe, and how confused they are by it. That's not a joke. Like people actually get confused by that stuff. And when the people were confused about Joker, they were like, why are there multiple Jokers? Man, but fortunately that movie had enough critical acclaim that it was able to beat that kind of confusion.
Right.
But that's rare. That's not how it usually works. When people get confused, their general course of action is to stay away. So so when you get a title like The Rhythm Section, which sounds like it's a sequel to Drumline, then people are like, I don't know what this is. I'm just not going to pay for it. I don't know what it is. And that's the way it works.
Well,
I think that's what happened here.
Here's the thing that they always forget in movie land is that not everybody lives and breathes movies. I mean, there's a lot of us that do, but everybody
most people
loves movies.
base their movie
question about that, but
on a whim. They base their movie going at a whim.
Right.
It's like let's go to a movie. Okay, what's playing? I don't know what that is. Hey, I recognize that. Let's go to that. Okay, that's the way it works for most people.
When you have to make it easy for them. You can't. If you're going to make them work to figure it out, it's not going to happen. People are too busy and they have too much shit going on to figure out why you named your movie something stupid like The Rhythm Section.
Right. Exactly.
It's too much for them.
It's dumb because it's actually I think it's a really solid, well-made movie, and the action in it is very Bond-esque. That scene I played in the beginning, it sounds like chaos, but if you could see it, it looks like it's from a Bond movie. I think it was on the streets of Surrey. It may have been on the streets of Surrey. So I mean, and it's which is very Bond-esque. It's an international globe-hopping movie, and it looks that way.
Yep.
And it's directed by Reed Morano, who was best known for The Handmaid's Tale. She did a fantastic sci-fi post-apocalyptic movie a couple years ago called I Think We're Alone Now. She's a great director. I hope she doesn't pay the price for this movie tanking the way it's doing. I wish people had given it more of a chance, but I have this feeling that this will end up meaning something more later on. I hope it does. Because it is a film that I think is worth it.
And talk about the PR for this, all the promotional material they put out. So I just pulled up the poster because I was like, man, am I remembering that correctly? And the poster even looks like she's holding a gun behind her back in the poster, but it's like muted colors and sepia tones and brown, and you can barely see the gun. So if you just look at it, like it was on a subway or something, you'd look at it and think, oh, this is a woman, like a musician that's sad in her house. There's nothing even action about the main poster. It's just very, very poorly described to audiences.
Well, yeah, that's pretty lame. So like I said, this is the first non-Bond movie from Eon, and people have been asking for a different version of Bond. And we got No Time to Die coming up in just a few months with Daniel Craig. Apparently
3 hour long No Time to Die.
Yeah, no shit, man. Apparently there's time. There's plenty of time for him to die.
Yeah.
But what do you think this means? The way I look at it is because Neon has already said, they have said it, Bond will always be a man. Like he will. They came out and said that maybe last week. He will always be a man. He may be, black or some other ethnicity, but he will always be a man. Of course, we know that things can change depending on fan attitudes, but to me, this pretty much puts the nail in the coffin of there ever being a Bond, a female Bond. We're getting sort of the female 007 in No Time to Die, but yeah, played by Sean Lynch. I think this is a nail in the coffin.
I unfortunately, I think you're probably right, but it's unfortunate because this has nothing to do with the believability of a woman in the Bond role. I mean, personally, I think, I could care less either way as long as it's a good movie. But I would rather see them put a new spin on something, or even pick a different intelligence agency. Like Mossad is like very interesting. Everything they do is crazy. So a female agent of Mossad, make it a Bond-like movie, but just from a female perspective. But the thing is, there are so many good female-led action movies, but you're right, it takes one for them to turn their nose and about 5 for them to rethink it afterwards and think it might be a good idea. I mean, are you telling me Charlize Theron wouldn't play a good female Bond? Are you telling me that even, it's totally possible and it's totally good? I mean, look at Moneypenny in what was it, Moneypenny? Yeah. Moneypenny in the Bond movies now. I mean, on that first one that we found out who it was, she was out in the field and it was believable. There's no reason not to do it, but I think the tides of things like this in Hollywood are just so fickle. And as soon as something like this happens, especially, if it made $10 million, maybe not so much, but I mean, $2 million is pretty damn low. So I think you're right. It's probably going to turn a lot of the investors away from it.
Yeah. I was trying to think what was the last great female espionage movie like this.
Atomic Blonde, I would say.
I know some people say Atomic Blonde, but I don't think Atomic Blonde was great. It was okay, and it underperformed at the box office too. You have to remember.
Yeah, that's true.
It had some really good. It had a couple of really good action sequences. Action was great. The story wasn't so hot though. I think for me, the last really great one was Haywire with Gina Carano.
The Gina Carano movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the last
and that was 2011.
movie that ended up on my top 100 of the year, top 100 of the decade, by the way. I think that was the last great one that I can think of, but there may be more. I'm sure there is. So I'm sure there are plenty that I'm just forgetting. That's the one I can think of. Or Salt.
Yeah, and that was. Yeah, I see. If you could take Charlize Theron and Atomic Blonde and pop her into Salt's story, I would be much more into it. But Jolie, I didn't really buy her as like that character. But there's no reason that they shouldn't do more. But I mean, if you look back, female-led action movies have been like they've chosen like 5 actresses that they've decided can be in this and it be in an action movie, and then they try somebody out every couple of years. You got your Charlize Theron, you got your Sigourney Weaver back in the day, Mila Jovovich is another one, Kate Beckinsale. But every once in a while they try to pop somebody new in. They did it with Zoe Saldana and Colombiana. And then if it doesn't work, you don't see them again. Yeah, it wasn't great. But she didn't suck. But I mean, I
don't know. That movie didn't ask for her to do much.
Fair enough. I would like to hear the argument of some of these people that say that you cannot have good female-led action movies. I'd like to hear their argument because it's not. I used to think it was about physicality, but then if you look at like Bruce Willis, I mean, his main draw in Die Hard when that came out was that he looked like the guy that worked at your office with you. And I don't know about you, but when I'm watching movies like Atomic Blonde or like The Rhythm Section, I have no illusion that I could beat up whoever the girl is that's running. I know I would get my ass kicked, and it's easy to see how they could, it's believable on screen. So I never understood that.
It does seem like, just kind of scrolling through some of the recent ones, it does seem like a lot of these female action movies have not done well. More of them have not done well than those that did. I was looking at Proud Mary with Taraji P. Henson, which is just awful.
Mm-hmm. How did Widows do? I don't remember box office.
Widows didn't do that great.
So Mad Max Fury Road, if you want to count that.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like along the like agent wise or like assassin.
Oh, okay, it's not just action movies.
More along those lines rather than just movies with more than just action movies. So I don't look at something like Underworld or Resident Evil as being in that category, but more along the line.
Well, it's
like
funny.
It's like a Bond type female character or something like that. I was thinking of Ultraviolet, which really sucked. That
movie sucked.
That's like that had to have been like 15 years ago though. And I know that seems crazy.
It was early 2000s.
Yeah, 2006.
It was
2006. Huh.
Oh wow, yeah. So, but you mentioned the spy movies, and something just clicked in my head as I'm looking at. I've lists pulled up of female-led action movies in front of me just for reference, and I'm noticing something, and that's there doesn't seem to be as much of a problem putting women in supernatural action, like some kind of supernatural based action movie. But as far as like spies or real world type action movies, you don't see it. I'm not really seeing like The Long Kiss Goodnight. I don't know if you remember that movie from the 90s. That's
I
that's
remember
one.
my dad had it on DVD. That's the first time I saw it.
Yeah, Gina Davis. It's one of the only times I was like, she is looking good. But yeah, there's really not. I mean, there's most of the female-led action movies are of a kind of supernatural or otherworldly type genre.
You know what's funny?
Real world stuff.
You know what's funny? How easily we're forgetting the most recent Charlie's Angels reboot. It was just a couple months ago. And that's
I didn't totally forget it.
It's exactly the kind of movie we're talking about here, and we've kind of just completely overlooked it.
I saw it on my list, but I didn't think it supported my argument that they could succeed with this stuff.
Like, I just completely forgot about it until I just saw on a scroll like Charlie's Angels, but it was like Charlie's Angels, like the 1990, 2000 Charlie's Angels, not this upcoming one.
Right.
And I was like, but that was just a new one. And I was like, how did I forget it already?
Don't worry, you're not alone. The rest of the world did as well.
That's okay.
I guess would you consider
I'm getting
Sparrow?
flashbacks of Naomi Scott from that movie right now, so it's fully in my memory again.
Oh yeah, I mean I will buy the movie. I'm not saying I won't, but what about Red Sparrow? Did you? I think that's kind of on the line between a thriller and action. It wasn't really an action movie, I guess.
It is sort of on the line. Yeah, another movie that underwhelmed. Maybe it's something about women in, like you said, they seem to have no problem putting them in superhero or supernatural, paranormal action movies, but grounded sort of action movies. It does seem like there's a believability factor that people aren't buying into, and maybe that's one reason why they're not going to see them.
Yeah. I mean, even what did you think of Miss Bala? That was nice. See, I really liked Miss Bala. I thought that was good. I mean, it was a throwaway action movie, but it was really good, and it had an original story, but nobody watched it. Nobody watched it.
Original story that was a remake of the original Miss Bala.
Well, yeah, obviously. Original to my language.
Yeah, no, I thought Miss Bala was fine. I mean, I'm a fan of almost anything that has Gina Rodriguez in it. Frankly, I think she's amazing. So, yeah, interesting. But you know what's going to be funny, and this isn't really an agent sort of movie, but I'm going to be very curious to see how people react to Promising Young Woman, which comes out later this year. And I saw it at Sundance and stars Carey Mulligan. Not really an action movie, but it is a revenge movie. So I'm very curious to see how that goes, how people react to that. I think it'll get. I'm almost certain it'll get critical acclaim because it got critical acclaim at Sundance. But very curious to see how people.
Oh yeah, there's been
general audiences react to it.
There's been stuff all over about that. But what do you think about the other? It clicked when you said revenge. That's the other kind of thing that pops out is it feels like if we are going to put women in real world scenarios, they can't just be action stars for whatever reason. It has to be revenge, and it's usually their family. Like you have to break their maternal instinct or their nurturing instinct, and then they'll go and shoot up places. But you don't. It's always some kind of revenge plot too. Now that I'm looking at it, there's a lot of similarities here.
Yeah,
between the ones that we have.
It does sort of seem that way. For a long time, though, it was only men that had these revenge sort of thrillers, and it seems to have shifted quite a bit. To women that now have that storyline for them, and I don't know. I don't know if I have an explanation for why that seems to be, other than somebody thought it was novel at one point and it just sort of became. Well, then again, let me take that back. We are kind of living in a time where women's rights are more under assault than they've ever been, or that they've been in decades, and so I think it does make sense to frame a revenge narrative around a vengeful woman. I think there's something to that. I think it's also interesting to see that most of those movies don't actually do all that great at the box office.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they don't do great when men lead them either, apparently. So, but you know what one we are forgetting, and I can't believe you didn't mention this because it's got one of your all-time favorites in it, Death Proof. Tarantino's Death Proof, which had Zoe Bell, Rosario Dawson, Vanessa Polito.
Yeah. No, it's because I don't, and I thought about Death Proof, but the thing is, I don't necessarily see Death Proof as a revenge movie. I mean, the revenge aspect kicks in at the very end, but more than anything else, that movie is a character study of a fucking psychopath. You know,
yeah, that's true.
Psychopathic stunt driver. It's mainly about stuntman Mike. He eventually gets his comeuppance, but I don't necessarily think of it as a revenge movie. That's why, and that's the only reason why.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So I mean, the Kill Bill movies would be a better fit. We're talking about Tarantino's.
Right.
In fact, they would probably be the ultimate fit. Honestly.
So
but,
yeah, I think that's why the tent pole for which you would measure most of this stuff against is Kill Bill. Because not only did you have Uma Thurman, but you also had I was about to say Goldie Hawn. No, Daryl Hannah, both in like the lead badass roles. So.
Ooh. Yeah. Great. I love those movies. Anyway. Yeah, I love those.
So
interesting. Go ahead. What were you gonna say? Uh-oh.
I'm gonna put in that.
Say that again?
Did I drop off there?
You did.
Not
Hello?
sure if we lost Travis or I've been lost, but yep. Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
I must have lost you there for a second. I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, you dropped out, and I thought we were having that technical difficulty we had before, and I was about to leave and come back in.
No, just my difficulty. That's all.
Okay, cool. What were you about to say? You were about to say something.
Yeah. So let's give this female-led Bond thing another chance. Who's your pick? Who do you think are like the top 3 believable best female action stars out there right now?
Ooh, I mean, well, Charlize Theron, obviously. It's probably number 1. She's probably number 1. I really like Samara Weaving. I think she's
that's a good pick.
And she wasn't ready or not. And she's if anybody has seen Guns Akimbo with Daniel Radcliffe, the movie where he's got the guns bolted to his hands, she plays it's nothing but an action movie, and she's pretty good in that as well.
Wait, have you seen that already? I didn't think it was out yet.
It's not out yet, but I did get a screener of it, and I did see it.
Oh, nice.
And I would. Rest of it's tough because I love Gina Carano, and she kind of reminded me of how good she is as an action star with The Mandalorian.
For sure, yeah.
But I also really like Emily Blunt in action movies.
I forgot about her, yeah.
And I think Jennifer Lawrence is extremely credible in action movies too. So there's a lot of really great women action stars out there, and I wish you could put them all into a movie together. And I guess they're kind of trying to do that with that movie. I think it's Agent 55 or whatever it's called that's coming out. They're kind of trying to do something like that. But there's a lot of really good ones out there, man. And I'd love to see more. I'd love to see more movies with women action stars, female action stars.
Scarlett Johansson's another one. Outside of the Black Widow
Scarlett
role,
Johansson should probably be number 1. I mean, honestly, she should probably be number 1. She's Black Widow.
Yeah, I mean, but outside of Black Widow,
She's Lucy.
When she's not playing, yeah, exactly. She's Lucy. When she's not playing Natasha Romanoff, she's kind of shooting blanks a little bit. She's not. The movies are. I mean, you got Ghost in the Shell, Lucy.
Lucy was
but it's not. Did you?
That's why they tried to make Ghost in the Shell basically, because Lucy was such a huge hit. Based almost entirely.
I did not remember it being a hit.
Oh, Lucy was a big hit.
No.
Yeah.
But it was so bad.
I liked Lucy up until the last 5 minutes. Lucy was pretty badass right up until the end. But
God,
yeah,
man, you're not kidding. 458 million worldwide.
463 is what I saw. But yeah, but no, you're right. I mean, yeah, on a budget that was practically nothing. Yeah, it was huge.
More proof I don't know what I'm talking about.
Entirely driven by her. I mean, there was no other reason to see that. Yeah, it's a Luc Besson movie, so I believe it did pretty well overseas, but it's mainly driven by her, and that movie was huge. So.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we got a lot of great female action stars out there, man. A lot of great ones.
Yeah, and that's just off the top of our head. So I mean, that goes to show you that you know, there's and I think there's definitely a market there for it. I think, you know, the ground has been laid. It was kind of more of a novelty, you know, 15 years ago, but now when you look at you know, what the Marvel universe has done specifically, you know, I know people joked about that scene in Endgame where all the female Avengers got together, but just the fact that they could even do that.
It's like the worst scene in that movie.
No, yeah, for sure. It's contrived for sure.
So forced.
But what it represents is that they've built and created enough female action heroes to put a scene like that together. Speaks volumes of it itself. That they even have enough to do that. Evangeline Lilly is another one. She'd probably be.
I was about to say Evangeline
pretty
Lilly
okay.
was in there. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. There's a lot of great ones in there. A lot of great ones. Zoe Saldana.
And I got to say Tessa Thompson, just because I always say Tessa Thompson. She's got to be on all my lists.
You know, my ex-girlfriend Tessa Thompson. You know, she had a movie at Sundance this year, and I didn't go, and I hope she isn't holding it against me. That I didn't go see it. I had the chance.
Well, I mean, I'm sure her love for you transcends it.
I let my friends convince me to go see something else, and that movie ended up sucking. And I kind of wish I had stayed loyal and gone to see her movie, but sorry.
Well, you know what? That's a great transition because you just got back from Sundance.
I did.
And how many years in a row is this you've gone?
This is year
or
9.
How many years have you gone total? I guess.
This is year 9.
Right, year 9.
No shit, man.
So, man, fill us in. I'm sure everybody's been following on punchdrunkcritics.com where you can check this stuff out every day. But what's the down and dirty from Sundance? From what you saw with your feet on the ground there?
I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we got a lot I want to go over with you in the last 30 minutes. But Sundance, to me, this is one of the weaker Sundance years. There weren't a whole lot of things that stood out to me as this movie is definitely going to be a Best Picture contender later in the year. It's not like last year when I saw The Report and The Farewell, and I was like, yeah, these movies for sure, definitely. You know, it's nothing like that. At least not for me, there wasn't. There may have been hundreds of movies at Sundance. There's a good chance I missed, you know, something that could end up that way. But yeah, I had a few favorites though. I did come away with some favorites. I really liked the movie called Black Bear. It was Aubrey Plaza and Christopher Abbott. It's kind of a intense relationship / horror movie. Bad Hair, which is the follow-up from Dear White People director Justin Simien. I did an interview with him that you can find on the site right now too. A movie called Save Yourselves, which is a comedy that I don't know if anybody is on anybody's radar. It has just this fantastic premise that they really play up perfectly. And it's about two people who are obsessed with social media and their phones. They always have their phones on, and they decide to unplug for a week, and they go off into the woods for it's just kind of a retreat to kind of get off the radar for a while. And that's the moment when there's an alien invasion. And they're like the last to know about it. It's such a great idea. It is. Such a fun. Yeah, it's really good. Of the movies that looked like they were going to be Oscar contenders going in, The Glorias is one. That's Julie Taymor, and it's a Gloria Steinem biopic with Julianne Moore and Alicia Vikander. I didn't think it looked like an Oscar contending movie to me after I saw it, but it still could if it clicks in the right way. I saw Downhill.
Well, you know what I always have to. You're being professional about it, but what I always have to ask you is, what did you have any super cool celeb moments? No. The circles I run in at Sundance, chances to meet celebs are few and far between if I'm not interviewing them. Because I know a lot of people go there and they like to go and walk around and go to events and panels and things like that, or go to the public screens where the celebs hang out. I go there to work, especially after this many years of going there. I go there to work. And if you ever follow me on when I'm there at Sundance, I put out a lot of content. For sure,
three reviews a day is usually about what I do, which is stupid. So I don't have a lot of time for that. Do I occasionally run into people? Yeah, but it's usually when I'm hanging out at headquarters and and a celeb might walk around. But I didn't really run into anybody like that this year. So no, not this year. No big celebrity finds. Um, but a lot of good movies though. A lot of good movies. Some mediocre ones. A couple of outright bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
I joked about Dee Reese's film, The Last Thing He Wanted, um, which is just such a bad movie, such an awful movie from one of the best filmmakers working today, and it's just a piece of shit movie. And the big joke about it while we were watching it, the big joke about The Last Thing You Wanted, which stars Anne Hathaway, Ben Affleck, and Willem Dafoe, I might add. The big joke about it was that, I know, it's a powerhouse movie. Actually, the movies that had the most star power were the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about the other one after this. Yeah. So the big joke about The Last Thing You Wanted was that Ben Affleck looked so checked out throughout the entire movie. And it's comical to watch him, because when there's no worse actor when he's not interested than Ben Affleck.
Oh no, yeah.
And I like Ben Affleck.
He's got a large spread of talent. You know, if he's not there, he's not there.
You can't miss it when he's not interested. And he was not interested in this movie at all while he was doing it. And it seems like he's only interested nowadays if it's something that he made. Like if it's something that he wrote,
right?
You know, he's directing, whatever. If he's got some personal investment in it, yeah, he's interested. But if he's not, if he's just a supporting character like he is in this movie, nope, no interest at all. It just looks so listless throughout the entire thing. And Anne Hathaway's not good either, but she ain't getting no help from Affleck in it.
Well, she's another one that, you know, she's A-list, but I've seen she can be very, very bad. You know, this time last year, Serenity came out. She was horrible.
Yeah. And you know what? And the thing about Serenity is, and I'm not going to go off on a thing about Serenity, but and I agree with what somebody else said to me about Serenity, and I think this is true. If they had called it Black Mirror Serenity, people would have liked it. And people would.
Expectations are a big thing.
Right. People would have liked it, and it would have made a lot more money if they had just called it Black Mirror Serenity. I think that's true.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, if you're expecting one thing and then you're getting that one thing for most of the time, and then all of a sudden at the end they're like, no, we're just kidding, it's this other thing. You know, it really can. That's what I hated about it was the twist was just like, oh, come on, seriously. But yeah, I'd agree with that it would be much more watchable if it was Black Mirror Serenity.
I also saw Downhill, which is Will Ferrell and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. It's a remake of Force Majeure. I thought it was pretty funny. It's like I called it the Bunny Slopes version of Force Majeure. But it's coming out like within a week or two, so it's probably it should do well. But the other movie I was talking about that had this huge star power and sucked was Come Away, which has David Oyelowo, Angelina Jolie, who I don't think has ever been at Sundance, and Michael Caine is in it as well. And it's like it reimagines Peter Pan and Alice from Wonderland as siblings, and it kind of takes place before they go. Yeah, it reimagines them as siblings, and it kind of takes place before they ever go off on those adventures. And it's directed by Brenda Chapman, and Brenda Chapman, if anybody knows that name, was the woman who was originally going to direct Pixar's Brave, and then she got kicked off the movie and replaced by, I can't remember the guy's name, which caused a huge controversy that they kicked her off this female-led movie that she had developed and gave it over to a man. It caused a huge controversy, and so this is her first live-action feature film, and it's just a dead, lifeless movie, man. It just sucks. And I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, this will probably be the only time we ever see something as wild as Angelina Jolie and David Oyelowo as a couple, as a married couple. I was like, and the movie's not any good. It kind of sucks.
Right. I mean,
yeah, man.
It sounds like it could have been a really cool premise, but
your girl is in this too. Gugu Mbatha-Raw, she's in this too.
Well, it must be amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. But it's not. It's one of those movies that has this fantastical premise. You would think on paper it sounds perfect for like Disney Plus or something Disney, and it's not. It's really dark and really grim and very slow, and it's not no kid would be able to sit through it, and it's not rich enough for adults. So it's like, who's this movie for? That's what
you're in that middle ground where nothing makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, that's enough about Sundance. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else. So need to get you out there to Sundance. Actually, you need to go next year.
Yeah, I mean Sundance and Comic-Con, man. I've been doing this for damn near 12 years now. Until I made one.
Did you get my email about Comic-Con?
Well, no. When did you send it?
A few days ago. They're open for press registration now. So I mean, if you haven't,
well, I get those too because I registered my first year and they gave me the registration, but I just couldn't make the trip. So every year they've been resending me stuff.
So you have a member ID.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so you should go.
I should.
You got all these months ahead to plan. It is not so insanely expensive. It is not so insanely expensive that you couldn't go. It's not
like I can't just go for 2 or 3 days.
If my broke ass can, it's only a 2 or 3 day long experience anyway.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad leaving
Thursday to Sunday. So it's not that long.
The truth of the matter is, I'm just making excuses, and I don't know why. I can't understand why I haven't made this a priority.
Make excuses for something you could completely do. If my broke ass can go as often as I've gone, you can go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Comic-Con is a fun experience, and you would have a ball there, and I could use the help. So you should go.
Yeah.
I just need to know if you're going to go so I can add you to my application. I'm allowed 3 slots. One is for me, and I can add a couple more. So you should go.
You know what? You're right. We do have still like 4 or 5 months, which is plenty of time to save up extra money for that. So, but yeah, I'll get with you when we're off air and put me on your list, and I'll just tell my wife I've already been accepted, so I can't say no.
Yeah, I just need to know what your member ID is. We can talk about that afterwards.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about some other things that have been going on this week, because there's been a surprising amount of news this week. We got to talk about that Fast and Furious 9 trailer that came out just on Friday during that big Miami concert they had, which looked wild. I put the live stream up on the site so people could watch it.
Now I've seen the trailer, but I didn't see the concert. Is it what I'm imagining? Like it's exact. You know, every Fast and Furious movie has that one scene where all the cars are outside and it's techno music and a bunch of girls in really short skirts.
Not quite like that, but it was a lot. It was insane. I would have had a lot of fun there personally. But the Fast and Furious 9 trailer, man. Okay, I'm sure everybody's watched it by now. It's probably got 1 billion hits on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So John Cena is Vin Diesel's Dom Toretto's brother in the movie.
Makes sense.
Which I don't know what genetics made that possible. But whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's not like we don't. It's not like there's not historical precedents in these movies for the Toretto genes being strong. I mean, Jordana Brewster is his sister, and they look similar. John Cena, however, looks like a white boy farmer from Ohio that works out too much. Doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. It's Fast and Furious.
You know, when we get some sort of explanation for it, if there is an explanation for it, it's not going to make any sense because it's Fast and Furious 9.
Yeah.
And look, and we already know the laws of physics don't make sense in Fast and Furious movies. So why should the laws of genetics? I guess that's kind of where I'm going with it.
Yeah, but you know what? That trips me out because that's a big thing. Like you'll have movies like this where you'll literally have a car jumping from one skyscraper to another in one of the movies, and that doesn't bother people. But something like the genetics
in the trailer where they were driving up a crumbling bridge, and I was just like, "That's not how it works. You would fall. You would fall.
Yeah.
That's not how
any of it works
at all."
How about if physics was involved, we wouldn't have had a Fast and Furious 2 because Vin Diesel would have died when he flipped his car in the first one.
Oh, no shit.
You know.
No shit. And speaking of people who died and somehow are not dead, Han is back.
Yep, here we go.
Han is back. My favorite Fast and Furious character is back. Sung Kang as Han just kind of comes strolling into the headquarters, which I don't understand why they have a headquarters. But they have a headquarters, which looks like more advanced than the Bat Cave, judging by the look of it.
Right.
He comes wandering in, eating his bag of chips, which I don't know where he keeps getting these chips, but whatever, he's got this bag of chips with him, he's eating them. And it's like nothing ever happened. And I feel like this is weird because, one, I'm happy that Han is back because he was my favorite character.
Right.
But two, I didn't want them to bring him back. I wanted them to be angry at Jason Statham for killing him. That's what I wanted. I didn't say bring him back. I never said bring him back. I just said be angry. Because they didn't seem to be very angry. They didn't even have like a whole, like an entire movie where they sought revenge for Han. Like we got like 3/4 of a movie where they did, but we didn't get like a whole movie where they were like, we got to get vengeance for Han. No, by the end of that movie, Jason Statham and Hobbs were like friends. So I was like,
they just totally forget about it. It's crazy to me, and like I almost like when I'm watching these movies, I forget about it. I'm like, okay, Jason Statham, this is fun, but then as soon as it's pointed out, I'm like, oh yeah, wait a second, they just killed one of their best friends, or this guy killed one of their best friends. Now they're all buddy with him now, and they're going on adventures together. This doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like that's the kind of suspension of disbelief that you can suspend disbelief for cars doing crazy things, but stuff like that is a little harder.
Yeah, look, I get it. Han wasn't Hobbs' friend, so maybe it's easier for him to get over it. However, they should still be upset by it. Like, they should still be out for revenge. And I'm just like, whatever, man. I need to see how they're going to handle this in this movie. I have a feeling that it's going to be I need to go back and watch Fast 5 or whatever it was where he died, because I was thinking, I was like, did we see a body? Because, I mean, that's always the rule in TV and movies. If you don't see a body, the person's not dead. We don't see a body.
Okay.
But the thing is, they held a funeral for him, and I want to know were they all in on the fact that he wasn't dead? Because judging by the trailer, Dom knows that he wasn't dead, right? That's the way it looks.
Right.
And if that's true, then he's a real dick. He's a dick.
Yeah. Well, but on the other hand, if all of them knew, that would explain why they weren't angry.
I mean, that's true.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
And maybe they were faking the funeral for to throw off whoever killed him. And I imagine we're probably explaining the plot of this next movie right now as we're making it up. We're explaining it. That's probably what they did. But even so, we wouldn't accept this for any other franchise.
No.
We wouldn't accept it. I don't know why we do it for Fast and Furious. We just let everything go. It's like, whatever, man. Like, these are the ultimate please turn your brain off movies. I don't care for those movies that much, but these are the ultimate turn your brain off movies, because they expect you to turn your brain off for every aspect of it. Every aspect.
Oh, 150%. I mean, the simple fact that we're talking about Fast and Furious 9 shows, the what we allow these movies to do. And for some reason, I would love to know what the formula was that made this stick in audiences' minds so much. I mean, yes, people love cars, but Paul Walker, rest his soul, he wasn't the most charismatic actor. Vin Diesel, certainly not the most beloved actor. It's not like they had the best chemistry of anybody that's ever been on screen. And, it was going down a path where it was exceedingly worse. I know you love Tokyo Drift the best, but, I mean, up until the Fast and the Furious, Furious, it was a standard series where it's, diminishing returns. But all of a sudden, some firework was lit, and now we've got Fast and Furious 9.
Justin Lin came along and expanded the whole thing, and now Justin Lin is back for Fast and Furious 9. I think he's going to be doing 10 as well. I mean, it's just, I mean, I always call it the most successful original franchise going today, perhaps of all time, and it's just, I mean, it's not a lie. It's been around for 20 years.
No, it's not.
Fast and Furious was 2001, if I remember right. So.
The first one, yeah, I think it was either 2000 or 2001. I mean, it just goes to show that everybody needs a little junk food with their health food. You know what I mean? And it kind of puts everything you could want in an action movie in one place. Especially when you add in it's when they form the team and you add Ludacris and Tyrese and everybody into it, so you have some decent comedy to it. You add Gal Gadot, and then you kill her for some stupid reason.
Oh, Gal Gadot! I wish Giselle would come back.
Maybe she will. No, she fell off a plane. She can't come back.
Han was in an exploding car. We saw it from Han was in an exploding car that we saw from two different angles, two different perspectives. That he didn't get out of that joint.
We think he was in a car. You know, I guarantee I know what it's going to be. He pulled a Nick Fury. He pulled a Nick Fury in Winter Soldier. That's exactly what he did. He pulled a Nick Fury from Winter Soldier.
Oh man, the explanation is just going to be so clunky and ridiculous. I'm ready to laugh for it. I'm ready to laugh at it right now. I'm already ready for it.
You know what they need to do? They need to do like what Spider-Man Far From Home did. I was watching it. It's on Stars now, and I was watching it last night. And I just love how when that movie started, they did the recap of everything that's happening as part of the morning announcements at school, and then they kind of throw something like, it's probably best not to think about it too much. What happened? And they need to throw some kind of side eye line like that in.
Yeah, they're gonna need to do something ridiculous like that. Okay. All right, let's move on to something else. We're running out of time. We're at less than 10 minutes left in the show already. They're trying to reboot The Crow again. Davis Films, who had the
When will they learn?
I know. They've been doing this literally for 10 years. Because I've been writing about it for 10 years. The Crow was ridiculous. And it was just in 2018 that they tried again with Jason Momoa as the Crow. And I believe it was Corin Hardy as the director. And both of them are gone. And they're trying to reboot it again. They're trying again. And here's the thing. In normal circumstances, I don't care. You can spend as much time trying to reboot these things as you want. The Crow won't be a hit if it comes back.
No.
The Crow won't be a hit.
It was a movie very much of its time.
No. Yeah, exactly. You can look at any number of attempted revivals of past properties that had their moment. And they've all tanked. All of them. Why?
Yep.
And they have to realize it. They have to realize it. They have to realize that this movie comes out, it's not going to be a hit. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, I love The Crow, and everything about that movie I love, but I can easily admit that it was a movie that was made for the early 90s. It was a movie that fit in that time. And I don't understand what it is about The Crow. Is it just stubbornness where they're like, well, nobody else can get it done, so I'm going to get it done. But I don't understand why this property in particular, it seems like somebody's trying to reboot it every other week and they're not realizing it's not going to work. I mean, the original movie made $50 million domestic, which it had a lower budget, but that's not the kind of groundbreaking number where you're like, this is something we have to recapture. I mean, there's plenty of action movies that made $50 million from the 90s that they could pick.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about this one movie.
This will do Hellboy reboot numbers, if not less. Probably less. Yeah, it's not good. I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I don't understand why they are so hung up on this, on making this a property. They shouldn't make it into a movie property. If you got the Crow rights, make the Crow something else. Make the Crow a dark animated series for HBO. Do something else with it. Don't make it a movie. I just don't. I don't understand why they feel like they have, or make it a Crow live action TV series. Those have a much better chance of success than a Crow movie.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, so. I've always been perplexed by that. And if you can get Jason Momoa attached at the height of his Aquaman-ness and still not get made, then you need to know that it's time to hang it up and move on to something else. It's really ridiculous that they keep going. I mean, but, it just, you got to wonder which good original action movies aren't getting made because they're wasting their money on this. That's the only thing that pisses me off about it.
Yeah. Last thing that I want to bring up with you is Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler has inked a new deal with Netflix, expanding his exclusivity with them through 4 more movies. And if you're asking yourself why, the answers are simple. He signed that first deal with them in 2014. What's happened with Netflix since he signed that deal? Netflix has blown.
Yeah.
And I would say that the deal with Adam Sandler has been a big part of the reason why that happened. I know that may be putting a lot of credit on Adam Sandler's shoulders. I think it's deserved. And I don't like hardly any of the movies that he's done with Netflix, other than Murder Mystery. Murder Mystery is okay, but most of them are crap. But they are consistently the most watched movies on Netflix. Consistently.
Well, I would
Murder
say
Mystery was the most watched movie Netflix had, and they say that joint had 83 million households that watched it in the first 4 weeks of release. That is insane. Now, we have no way to just, verify those numbers from Netflix, but they also don't have any reason to lie about them either.
Well, this is the thing that streaming is doing that people aren't getting or is going to change things in ways that people don't understand or expect, is that the business of it changes so much. I mean, so Adam Sandler, the movies he made with Netflix on that first deal were The Ridiculous Six, The Do-Over, The Week Of, Sandy Wexler, and Murder Mystery. If you could have named any of those except for Murder Mystery, I would give you, bonus points for the day. The Do-Over wasn't bad. That's the one he did with Chris Rock. That one was okay. But even I, who, rank Billy Madison as one of my all-time favorite movies.
The Week Of was the one he did with Chris Rock. The Do-Over was that awful one.
That's the one with David Spade. That's right.
Spade. That movie was a piece of crap.
Right.
And The Ridiculous Six is one of the worst movies I think that has ever been made.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing: is one of the other main differences between what's popular on Netflix and what's popular in the movie theater is when people, what percentage of people sit down, start a movie on Netflix, and sit on their couch and watch the whole thing end to end, versus what percentage of people put things on Netflix as background noise while they do something else.
Well, one of the things that we learned about Netflix's system is that it counts as a watch. Anything that you watched for about 4 minutes, and that's it. Like, you only have to, that's the bare minimum. If you watched it for 4 minutes, then it counts as a view. That doesn't mean everybody finished. It doesn't mean 83 million households watched Murder Mystery from beginning to end. It just means that you kind of started it, and you may have turned it off. But still, I mean, it's crazy.
Still, 84 million households. Someone should be able to watch the whole thing. I mean, he's really, his type of movie is good for Netflix. Netflix is going to be changing a lot of things. It's funny because people are seeing it, but I guess they don't really realize it because all the outrage every time a Netflix series gets canceled. I mean, they came right out and said point blank, "Hey, look, after 3 seasons, it doesn't matter how many people are watching. It's not really financially viable for us to keep making these shows. So, it has to be a Stranger Things level show or movie to get sequels and extra seasons. It's just the nature of how they do business because they're going off subscribers. Their new shows are designed not for the people already paying for it, but to bring in new subscribers. That's the only reason they're doing it.
Yeah, totally right. If it's a show that has huge marketing potential outside of Netflix, the way a show like Stranger Things does, or The Witcher, or stuff like that, then those are the things that will last a really long time. But a show like Manhunter, which I think they just canceled after 3 seasons.
I'm still hurting about that.
What's the potential of that outside of Netflix? I mean, there aren't any Manhunter T-shirts and toys, and there's no, there's nothing really like that. So I mean, it's
there's
okay.
No Fortnite skin. There's none of that stuff.
Right. It's not gonna be like that. All right, so we're down to the last 90 seconds of the show, so we have got to get out of here. I think we covered pretty much everything we wanted to talk about anyway. But it's been a fun show. Yeah, I think we got it. Fun show, John, as always, my friend.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so you can find John and I every day at punchdrunkcritics.com. If you're in the D.C. area, you can find me also on Good Morning Washington on Fridays, WBAL Morning News on Thursdays, and, of course, on town as well. John, tell them where they can find you outside of Punch Drunk Critics.
Outside of Punch Drunk Critics, you can hear me on 98.3 Star FM Friday mornings, right around 7:15. That's available on the iHeartRadio app or TuneIn, or if you're in the area, listen to it there.
All right, and I want to encourage everybody to join me this Sunday, Oscar night, at the Arlington Cinema and Draft House, and here in the nation's capital. For our Oscar night party held by the DC Film Society. It'll be me and Tim Gordon hosting. I think this is like year 5 or 6 that I've been hosting this thing. It's a fun time. I think it starts at 6:30 and it ends whenever the Oscars end, man. It's going to be us having a good time, fun prizes, silent auction. It's always a great time. Come out and join us. You can go to dcfilmsociety.org or look it up on Facebook for that. All right, we are out of here. John, I will talk to you later, my friend.
All right, man. Later.
All right. Later, everybody. Thanks.